What was your biggest struggle in writing your first novel?
Wow, I think I struggled with just about everything in the first one because I didn't really know what I was doing. In some ways, sometimes I compare. I, I definitely had a talent for writing from go. Don't mean to sound immodest. There are all sorts of things I have no talent for whatsoever, but I was just born with some level of talent for writing, and I've always loved to read. I've always loved to write, and doing those two things, reading and writing, will hone your talent. Um, but having a talent for writing is to writing a novel, as having a talent for tools is to building a house. It's necessary but not sufficient. So when you finally set about to build your first house, you're going to make 100 mistakes. And you'll learn from making those mistakes. You'll put up a wall and then it's going to fall down, or else you'll realize it's unstable and you have to tear it down and rebuild and do things in a different way. It takes a long time, a lot of reversals, but at the end of that first house, you kind of know what you're doing. And the second house will go much more smoothly because now you know what you're doing, and the third house even a little bit. And you'll continually get better, and hopefully you'll be able to add more and more artistry to whatever it is you're building. But there's just a necessary process of making mistakes as you go along. The things that have always come the easiest to me, I guess, would be action scenes. And I classify action, at a high level, action includes violent scenes and sex scenes. It's all action when you think about it. That's the way I look at it anyway. And dialogue. Dialogue's always come easy to me also. So much so, in fact, that I teach a lot of writing seminars, and it's interesting. The stuff that it's taken me longer to learn how to teach is the stuff that's always come the most naturally to me. And it makes sense because I've never had to think about it. So I've never had to think about how to articulate or explain it. The first time I got a question about, so how do you write good dialogue? I don't know. You just kind of. And then I learned that there are techniques and things that you use. Overall, probably characterization was probably hard for me at first. I think I didn't know my characters as well as I probably needed to, and I think that's a super important exercise for almost any writer. Unless you're exceptional and maybe the story just flows, you can just write it. You don't need to think that much. You don't need to outline that much. I think that kind of writer is unusual, assuming that kind of writer even exists at all. But I think it really pays to spend a lot of time thinking about your characters. Who are they? Where do they come from? What are their formative experiences? What do they want? What do they think they want? What do they really want? What are they afraid of? Learn all that stuff. It's not all going to go in the book, but you need to know your characters very well that way for the story to take shape the way it should. Yeah, so all these things, you start out, you're weaker at something, stronger at others, but pay close attention and you can shore up your weaknesses and continue to get better, hopefully, at your strengths as well.
Okay, last question. What is the favorite line that you have ever written?
Oh, wow. I don't think I've ever been asked that in quite a few interviews. Favorite line that I've ever, I don't know. God, there've been a lot. There've really been a lot. That's really immodest, isn't it? Oh, I don't know. There've been thousands.
I'm just
Lindsay.
so brilliant. I don't get me to
Pretty
start.
much every line that flows from my pen is quotable. I'll tell you what. I love the description of settings in my books. There's a kind of magic, and I don't think I could quote one from memory, but there's a kind of magic for me. One of the most mysterious, wonderful elements of writing is this. When I'm trying to capture a place through John Rain's eyes, or one of my characters, particularly John Rain's eyes, because those books are written in first person. Back up for a second. I once heard this expression that I really like. It's good advice for writers. Don't describe the rain, describe the way the rain feels. No connection with John Rain intended there. But yeah, I think that's really good advice. Too many times people try to describe the mechanics or like the atomic structure or whatever, but that doesn't really matter. It's how does that make you feel? The intersection of Rain, who's such an interesting character for me, and his view of the world is so interesting. When he's feeling good, the metaphors he chooses, the things he notices, are entirely different from the way he looks at and the way he describes the world around him when he's scared, when he's on a mission, when he's tense, when there's going to be violence, when there are potential consequences. And when I'm writing those scenes, they can take me a long time. I mean, maybe I'll write it's a paragraph, maybe it's 200 or 300 words or something like that, and I'll really sweat it because it's not quite right. That's not quite the right word. The rhythm's not quite right or whatever. And then I'll look at it and I'll say, oh, that's good. I really like the way he described that place. And in every book there are descriptions like this that if I go back to them, I'm like, that's really good. That really makes me feel good. Come back the next day. That's my habit. I like to just review and edit what I wrote the day before. It's a good warm-up, and then I move on. And I'll look at what I wrote the day before, and it's not quite right. So I'll play with it a little more, and then I feel like, yeah, that's it. That's really it. I nailed it. And maybe I'll come back a third time, a few days later, a week later, whatever. And it's almost there, but I make a few little adjustments. And then that's it. And then when I look at the copy-edited version, the galleys, whatever, then I'll read it again, and it's perfect. And I don't mean perfect in some objective sense, but it's perfect according to whatever internal template must exist inside myself. And that's the mystery to me. I feel like, how do I know that that's perfect? How do I know that there's nothing more that needs to be done to it? And it's this mystery. Where did that come from? I love that feeling. So all those settings of Rain's descriptions of the things he encounters in Tokyo and Osaka, Macau, Paris, Barcelona, everywhere, New York. He just, in the 5th book, Last Assassin, he finds himself passing ground zero, and I wasn't intending to do this, except I was walking in his footsteps, which I always do when I'm writing the books, and crosses this bridge they built at Varak, and I looked down. I didn't really even understand exactly where I was, and I looked down, and I was, whoa. And then I'm in Rain's head, so how's this going to make him feel? And I just love the way he described that sight and the way it felt to him. So those are my favorites. There are a lot of good one-liners in the book. I could think of a lot of them. Usually the ones that have to do with both violence and humor. One that comes to mind off the top of my head is Rain's in a close encounter with a guy with a knife, and Rain is unarmed. Actually, Rain has a knife too. It doesn't matter. But anyway, he's a little. Rain would run away if he could, because he's a professional. It's like, he doesn't want to get in a knife fight. You know, one guy's going to get hurt, and the other one's going to get killed, or they're both going to get killed. He would run away, but the guy's a little too close. He's thinking, his partner, former Marine sniper Dox, who Rain had thought left the scene, comes back and he hears Rain hears Dox bellow, "Get down!" And Rain knows what's coming, so he ducks and glances over, and Dox, who's a huge guy, he's built like a linebacker. He's picked up a heavy chair, a teak chair, outside this cafe, Brown Sugar, in Bangkok, and he's got it back over his head like this. And Rain, in this dry way, says, "When a man of Dox's size and strength hurls a chair, there are many places you might want to be. In front of the chair is not one of them." In this sense, Winters was unlucky. The chair caught him full in the chest, and then he goes on from there. So I like those sorts of dry, anything that can get you to laugh in the midst of violence, I think, is somehow those two emotions, humor and laughter, and violence and tension, they don't ordinarily go together. We don't think of them as going together, but when you can make them work together, it's nice. They actually do complement each other well. So I could go on and on about this because I'm proud of my books. I take my craft, my art seriously, and I think they're terrific books. So there are a lot of good lines in them.
We wish you the best of luck with your Rain books and your new book coming out in February.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being with us.
And best of luck to all your viewers who I know are trying to get published. Can I mention two last things?
Yes, you can.
If you're trying to get published, there are two things you should be doing. At least two things, but the two most important. Read like a writer. This is critical. Don't just read books and love them. Read the books that you love and ask yourself, why do I love them? What is it the writer's doing? What makes that passage such a... If it's a great action sequence, what made it work so well? If it's a great description of setting, if it's a great love scene, if it's great dialogue, whatever it is, ask yourself, what is the writer doing that's making it so effective? This is how you learn to identify craft. So that's the technique behind the magic, and then you can start to duplicate it. And the other thing is, just keep writing. Fortitude has a lot to do with this. It took me 8 years. I had 45 or 50 agent rejections before I found a guy who represented me. You just have to stick with it and keep believing in yourself. The people who stop believing in themselves and they start watching television, they don't get published. So remember all that. It's important advice. Go to my website, barryeisler.com. There's a link for writers that's got much more on all these subjects on that section.
Thank you so much for all your fabulous advice.
You're very nice. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time here at Writing Room.
Good luck. Keep it up.